Okay, next slide, good. And before we start, just to take a moment to do an acknowledgement. So looking at with UFE, we reside on the beautiful, beautiful land of the Stalo people of the river. And we would just like to take a moment to recognize and honor the contribution that Aboriginal people have made and continue to make. And as an educational institution, we really do take pride and honor in respecting the lands and making sure that we are helping to support Indigenous learners, trying to indigenize our curriculum and incorporate ways of knowing. Next, thank you. So just to give you a basic outline, that's my kids in the background. I'll quiet them down in a minute. So we're going to go through and do a basic welcome and introduction, and we'll talk to you a little bit about the actual Bachelor of Kinesiology program. And then Kristen is going to talk a little bit about the role of an academic advisor and the importance of making sure to connect with your academic advisor early on and throughout your journey here at UFE. And she will also talk to you about looking into how to advise or how to book an appointment for advising. And a little bit about course planning. We'll talk a little bit about how to best prepare for when timetables and registration times come out, how you can best prepare for the fall start. And then towards the end, we've identified just really useful services and resources that are available through UFE so that you have an idea of where you can go and who you can connect with if you have any questions, and then also our contact information at the end. And obviously there will be time for questions as well. Go ahead. So welcome and congratulations on behalf of myself and Kristen and the rest of our whole School of Kinesiology. We are always very excited to see new students come in. So congratulations on your entrance into the Bachelor of Kinesiology program. Again, I'm Amber Johnston. I am a faculty member within the School of Kinesiology. I've been here for 16 years. I am an alumni from the program and was actually one of the first graduates from the Bachelor of Kinesiology. And I'll just let Kristen introduce herself as well.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kristen Switzer. I'm the academic advisor for the BKIN program. So I'm the person you'll be booking with to make appointments to make sure you're staying on track to complete your courses for graduation. I have been working at UFE for 11 years now. I started with new incoming students in qualifying studies and exploratory. So there might be a few students who I have met with before in this category. I have a kinesiology degree as well from the University of Lethbridge, and I have a master's in post-secondary and student affairs from Simon Fraser University. Thanks, and look forward to meeting everybody.
Kristen is your friend, so you want to get to know Kristen. Okay, go ahead. Our school director was unable to be here today, so he just wanted to make sure that he was making you welcome and to thank you for attending the session and obviously for the interest in the program. We've had a year and a bit now under our belt dealing with the pandemic, and we know that that has, had a bit of an impact on everybody with their schooling. But as we approach the fall semester, we're really hoping that we are seeing a bit more in person and slowly back to normal. But we understand that it's a bit of a different time right now, but our kin faculty has worked very hard to make sure that you have the best possible learning experience. Within the kin program, as you can see on the slide here, we have a lot of hands-on and practical learning experiences throughout the degree. And as you can see, the director is just encouraging you to take advantage of that. There's lots of opportunities that will come your way, both in the classroom and outside the classroom, working with faculty and volunteer opportunities within the community and how UFE connects with the community. And so we really do encourage you to take advantage of that. Obviously, we're hoping that you have lots of great memorable experiences as you move your way through the program. And then if you do have any questions or concerns, you can always contact Jason as well. Thanks, Kristen. So there's the contact information, and this is also available on our kinesiology portion of the UFE webpage. So you can contact the director, Jason Brandenburg, at the following email. You can contact Kristen for advising through here. And then we also have a department assistant, and her name is Myra, and she's wonderful to help us with all of our little needs within the program. And you can contact her through that email as well. So looking at how we're moving forward, many of you, I'm sure, have paid attention in the news and perhaps even on our UFE page for the latest information on what fall is going to look like. And there was a town hall, and Dr. Bonnie also made some sort of announcements and put out what we call a primer that talked about what it's going to look like as we start to return to campus. And so you'll be able to click on those links and you can see the letter that was sent out to all post-secondary presidents, and you can look at the information that was in a news release as well. So obviously, health and safety are the biggest priority for student, faculty, staff, and our community. And we are making sure that the provincial health is making sure that we've got everything in order to ensure a safe, healthy, and organized return to campus. Again, we recognize, as you can see, our president, Dr. Joanne McLean, has recognized that it is a very challenging time for students, faculty, and staff. But again, everyone has really shown their dedication and perseverance through this, including our students as well. So we know it's a bit of a different time, but we really are focusing on delivering the best and optimal education and services to our students to, again, help you as you sort of transition into this new role. So you can have a look at that just to understand what it's going to look like. And when we talk in a few slides about the timetable, one thing to understand is that there's 4 methods of delivery, and in the timetable it will indicate that. And so you can look at in-person, which is going to be traditional face-to-face. You have online, which is obviously online and all online. And then we have a hybrid and a high flex. Hybrid is looking at some online, some in person, and high flex is similar to that, but it's a certain percentage that is going to be face-to-face versus what is going to be in class. And you will know that from the timetable, and then you will know those classes probably in advance as well. Go ahead. Just looking at our kin values. So we've transferred into a school in the last year and a half or so. We're now an official school of kinesiology. But before that, as a department, we had come up with our values and the things that are the most important to us as faculty. And so we really do try to approach our education, our classes, and everything that we do with students and within the UFE community by looking at our respect and value of diversity and recognizing the dignity inherent in each individual and helping to sort of cultivate postures of openness towards all people and cultures, backgrounds, talents, disciplines, abilities, and points of view. We look at the habits of virtue and the integrity of professionalism. So character is another one of our values. We really stand on academic rigor. So we value sound scholarship, scientific inquiry, looking at careful methodology, and really trying to be interdisciplinary within our academic disciplines. So we try to deliver high quality teaching, but at the same time, really engaging and thoughtful and working with our students. Obviously, we're a kinesiology program. I'm sure most of you are probably active or enjoy being physically active. And so we value that lifetime physical activity and the significant contribution that it makes to promoting health and looking at promoting physical performance, overall fitness, and quality of life. Go ahead. So what is kinesiology? And as you come into the program, you'll learn more and more about kinesiology. And it really is, I like to talk about it as like an umbrella term. There are a number of things that we can look at when we look at kinesiology, and it can be, the study in the art of human movement. It explores a broad range of different topics. So you're going to see throughout the program that there is courses that focus on anatomy, courses that focus on human physiology, biomechanics, exercise physiology, sociology, physical literacy, overall education or pedagogy, active health, wellness, and overall nutrition. So it really is a very sort of broad term looking at the science and art of human movement and how we can better understand that. Here you can see the link where you will find all information related to the program. We are housed within the Faculty of Health Sciences. And so within that faculty, there is also a School of Health Studies, which contains nursing. And we have things like our CDA or dental assistant program and our healthcare assistant program as well. So all of us are together under the Faculty of Health Science. And we are, again, the School of Kinesiology. Currently, right now, we have 19 basic faculty members, 15 are full-time permanent faculty members, and 4 are what we call LTAs, or are on one-year contracts. We have roughly 80% of faculty that are based out of Chilliwack campus, and around 20% that do house themselves or have their offices in Abbotsford campus, because we do have courses that run on both campuses, but majority of the program is out at CEP or in Chilliwack. We have a number of sessional instructors as well. So if you go on to the web link here, you'll be able to see all of those faces and sort of who you can expect to encounter in your next 4 or 5 years as you work through the program. On average, we have around 300 students in the program, ranging from first through 4th or 5th or 6th year, depending on how long they are taking to finish the program. And usually we get about 90 graduating students every year at convocation. Within the degree program, there are 3 specializations that you at one point will need to declare, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. The first one is exercise science, and I'm going to talk a little bit about each one and sort of what you can do with each of those specializations. So we have exercise science, you have pedagogy, and then we have a newer sort of specialization, which is the active health. Go ahead. In the kinesiology program overall, we go beyond sort of the textbook and the basic questions of the how and why, and we really start to explore how we can optimize human potential for health performance and overall wellness. So in your first and second year, it's all about gaining foundational topics and knowledge and information that you can then move through into your upper levels. So you're going to take courses that focus on understanding human anatomy, looking at, introductory sports psychology, looking at biomechanics, a bit of human nutrition, as well as looking at overall kind of physical concepts of physical activity, overall health and fitness. So you get an opportunity to explore a variety of fields, and then that really does help to kind of narrow or decide which focus or direction you might want to go, but when you're choosing your actual specialization. In 3rd and 4th year, that's your opportunity to kind of develop your skills. So you can go into more advanced teaching and counseling. If you're going to be working with athletes, you might look at athletic injuries. We get into research methods. We have an applied ethics course that you take. You have a more advanced physiology, human physiology, and exercise physiology. And then again, if you're going into the exercise physiology stream, there is specialized exercise testing and exercise prescription courses. So overall graduation requirements. So this is sort of your checklist of what you need to complete to fulfill graduation requirements at the end of your degree. So a total of 120 credits is required. Of those 120 credits, 48 are upper level credits, and that can include at least 38 upper level kin. We recently kind of revamped our program, and this gives you the opportunity to take a lot of kinesiology courses if you are focusing in that practicing kinesiology, physical kind of applied health direction. So there are core requirements, and then there are sort of your electives and other requirements as well. Of the core requirements, that's 49 credits, and then you will declare which specialization you want to do. So again, exercise physiology, pedagogy, or active health, and that'll be the completion of an additional sort of 60 credits. Or you have to, sorry, declare that by 60 credits, and then you'll complete the necessary credits within that specialization. You do take one literacy course, and then you also take a numeracy course, so usually a stats course of some sort, and we'll talk a little bit about those as well. And then you've got a breadth requirement. So these are your kind of non-kin electives, and you have 12 credits that are required within that. And you can sort of take those within any other degree program within the institution. So psychology is quite popular. Some people might take criminology, others might do biology or another sort of science-based background. So those electives are sort of up to you, and Kristen will be able to help you with those as well. So looking at the specializations overall. So exercise science is essentially the area or the route that you would like to go and declare if you are wanting to get in to be a practicing kinesiologist. If you are interested in becoming a personal trainer, so like a certified personal trainer working in the community, if you're wanting to become an exercise physiologist, and then going into graduate school. So I'm an exercise physiologist, so I can speak a little bit to this direction. If you are going into allied health of any sort, then you want to go this direction. So with the allied health, it means anything with respect to going into medicine, looking at physiotherapy, chiropractics, massage therapy, occupational therapy, and sort of related to that. That's the stream that you would like to focus on if that's the direction that you would like to go. Go ahead. For pedagogy, so if you are wanting to become a teacher, essentially, then pedagogy is the direction that you would take. So if you're pursuing a career in an instructional setting, if you're looking at perhaps getting into community recreation as well, if you're looking at becoming an administrator within a school system, or even looking at coaching, then these are kind of the specialization that you would like to go into. So a lot of times, depending on if you're teaching in elementary or secondary level, some people will take specific electives to support those career goals. So they might take business, biology, math, geography, psychology, just as a few examples within that. Essentially, this specialization will prepare you for admittance into teacher education programs. So UFV has a TEP program, SFU and UBC have PDP programs, and then obviously there's other institutions outside of BC that offer those as well. It also helps you if you are getting into perhaps nutrition or rehab studies, and also with graduate school as well. So if you're looking to go beyond into getting a master's or a PhD in education, kinesiology, or leadership, then this would be the specialization that you would choose. And then we have our newer specialization. So this has been around for like 3-ish years, maybe 2-3 years, give or take. And this is sort of, it's not the middle ground, but it's kind of the in between. So if you're not wanting to be a practicing kinesiologist or a physiotherapist or go sort of that medicine route, if you're not wanting to teach in the education system, but you're interested in working perhaps in the community or with corporate health and wellness, if you're looking at getting into athletic therapy or sports psychology or community recreation, then this is the specialization that you would like to focus on. So it prepares you, it meets the requirements for athletic therapy entrance for programs. It meets the requirement for sports psychology programs postgraduate. And then again, you can get into graduate school and look at a master's or a PhD in a kinesiology related area. So 3 specializations that we have, and by around 60 credits or so, you need to kind of declare which specialization you are choosing so that you can sort of continue down that road. Go ahead. Do you want me to talk about this or you?
I can actually step in at this point
Sure.
if that works. Okay,
Perfect.
and then at any point, Amber, if you have something to add, please feel free to do so. So now that we've talked about the kinesiology program and what that all entails, now we'll kind of jump into what that looks like on how you build your timetable and what you can expect for the fall semester. So on May 28th, the timetable will become available. So it'll be online and you'll be able to look up the classes that will be offered in the fall semester. And then every student will be assigned a very specific registration date and time. And starting sometime after June 14th. So the last 2 weeks of June is kind of registration period. So if you have any questions about what to take, we're going to go over some good courses to consider for the fall semester. But if there are any questions and you want to go over it with an advisor, by all means, I'm going to show you today how to book an appointment with me, and I would love to run this over with you just to make sure that we're picking the right courses for your academic plan. So some recommended courses to consider. So the very top box in the red, this is both for exercise science and active health. There is just a substitution here of one course. So this is really a good, first year list of courses for both exercise science and active health. So starting with Kin 161, 170, Bio 111, this is for exercise science, and English 105 or Communications 125. So this is taking 4 courses a semester, which I think is a well-balanced semester. You can take an additional course if you choose to, and you could actually, to maintain full-time studies, is a minimum of 9 university credits per semester. So depending on what's going on in your personal life, if you've got some volunteer opportunities, if you're getting engaged on campus in extracurricular activity as well, which we all hope that we'll be able to do sooner rather than later with COVID, then maybe looking at more of a balanced schedule would be a good idea. And that's where you can come in and make an appointment with me. I do virtual or phone appointments at this point. And then we can discuss your plan. And then for the winter, you'd be looking at taking Kin 163, 160, or 103, a statistics course, and that's what Amber was talking about earlier for your numeracy course. So Stats 104 or Stats 106, but also Psych 110 can be satisfied for this requirement as well. And then one non-Kin elective course. Now, for doing pedagogy, and the route is to try to get into teaching, your courses are slightly different. In the fall semester, it would be a good idea to take in 121, 161, 170, English 105, or Communications 125. And then in the winter, Kin 122, Kin 163, again, your stats course, and then one non-Kin elective. And then there are those students who don't know necessarily right away what they would like to take off the bat. And if you fall into that category, that's fine, because we have a list of core Kin courses that you have to complete regardless of which concentration you are hoping to do. Then hop into the Kin 161, 163, 170, English 105, or Communications 125, or your stats course, because those will have to be completed no matter what path you take. So what do I do? So come see me. I've said that a couple of times. I want to see all of you. But what does an academic advisor actually do? We will work with you, and together we will map out your courses for your future semesters and make sure that you're staying on track to graduate and taking the correct courses and the right courses for grad school or whatever your career objectives are. And we want to carry on these conversations. I want to see you, maybe once a semester, ideally once a semester, for sure once a year, just so that I can just take a quick look to see where you're at, provide any suggestion on where you could add value to your program, connect you with any services on campus that you may need because you're struggling in different areas or because you're just looking to branch out. So another thing academic advisors do is, if you don't know what you need, but you're struggling or you're needing something, start by booking an appointment with an academic advisor, and I will do my best to connect you to exactly where you need to go on campus for help. So how to book an appointment. So at the top, you can see for advising, it's ufv.ca/advising. And then you're going to click the top button on the right-hand side, which is book an appointment. Because you are current students, you will book an appointment as a current student, and then this drop-down box of courses will show up on the bottom. And you're going to scroll down those plus signs until you find kinesiology. It's all in alphabetical order. And then you'll click on book an appointment here. What'll populate is my appointment schedule and how many available appointments I have for you to kind of look through. So you'll click on Kristen Switzer, and it'll take you to all the different available appointment times that you can browse through. I usually have appointments from 9 in the morning until 3 o'clock usually is the last one every day, and I do 4 appointments every day. So usually between that range, you should be able to get an advising appointment. So this is just a list of links on how to start planning and timetabling and mapping out your courses if you're interested in exploring this sooner rather than later. There will be sessions that you can register for as well as this. So this is your program orientation. The Future Students Office, as part of the Registrar's Office, is also running sessions on how to timetable and register for the first time. So if you check out their website, you can actually register for one of these orientations, and they're going to show you how to navigate the academic calendar, use the interactive course finder, timetable and plan out your courses, check the class sizes and wait lists, and then how to use My Grad Plan. I do want to highlight the My Grad Plan because that is something that is in your MyUFV account, and that will show you exactly what courses you have to do for your degree program and where you're at towards that completion. So any courses you're in progress taking, it'll show you directly on there. Any courses remaining that you have to take will also be on there as well. Any questions around this, even if you've attended the orientation session through OREG with the Future Students Office, book an appointment with me and I will show you how to navigate this if you need a little bit more help. So services and resources, we want you to be, flexible, and we want you to be successful and engaged in your academic planning here at UFV. So there are a bunch of different services that we want to connect you with, and these are just a few that I'd like to highlight today. Obviously, advising, I've mentioned that 1,000 times so far this presentation. KINSA is your student association. And actually, maybe Amber, you want to say maybe a few words about KINSA and maybe KinPals? Would that?
Yeah, sure. I can go through some of these for sure. So KINSA is a really great opportunity. Obviously, maybe first year you're just getting into the swing of things and meeting new people and whatnot. But as you start to meet more people and become more involved, our student association is fantastic. So even during COVID, they've offered some really great kind of online interactive things, including, like weekly health tips and weekly ways to be mindful and to de-stress and to be physically active and different nutrition ideas and those sorts of things. So when we're back together in person, then KINSA is the group that helps to put on different events throughout the year that help to bring everybody together. So it's a really great opportunity, not only for you to meet new people, but to become involved in the program itself. You get a chance to meet faculty members and to sort of get to know them a bit better outside of the classroom. And then it's something that, if you're going into those postgraduate type of programs, this is something that looks fantastic on your applications, showing that you are involved. So maybe down the road, you want to sit on KINSA, you want to be a president, a treasurer, events planning, marketing, whatever. So it's a really great opportunity. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram as well. On Instagram, they're UFV KINSA, and on Facebook, I believe it's the same as well. So all their opportunities are posted there. In addition, you'll see volunteer opportunities posted through the KINSA webpage as well, especially on Facebook and on Instagram as well. If any volunteer opportunities or even great job opportunities that come up within the community, KINSA will post those out. So I would encourage you at the end of today to start following them if you're already not on Instagram, to just get to know them a bit better and to see what's going on. There's KinPals as well. KinPals is a relatively newer program. Again, it's been around for about maybe 4 years. And this is something that I'm involved in. KinPals is just essentially a way to match you up with a upper level student who is still in the program. The idea of this is to provide a bit of mentorship. Everybody remembers what it's like to be a brand new student coming out of high school, or maybe you've gone to university and taken a few classes and now you're in the program. We remember what it's like, you know, to be new, to transition into learning in post-secondary education. And so this is an opportunity to just have a pal and to know that you can ask any question. No question is a bad question. And so usually what we do is we will match everyone up with a UFE KinPal, and they'll contact you sometime kind of maybe August to see how things are going and connect with you. And they're just a go-to to have throughout the program to, again, ask those questions as well. I can talk about SLG as well if you want to.
Sure, yeah.
So SLG is something called supported learning groups. SLG is there to help students in courses that tend to be a little bit more difficult. So for example, in kinesiology, we have SLGs that are in our KIN 170 course, which is our human anatomy course, in both the lecture and the lab is usually supported by an SLG. Our KIN 163, which is our exercise physiology course, or our intro to exercise physiology course, which also has a lecture and a lab component. We also have an SLG for KIN 270 as well, which is our kind of second year human physiology course. Those tend to be a bit more challenging in the fact that they have lecture and labs. The material can be a bit more difficult. And so the purpose of the SLG is they are, again, students who have taken the course and who have done well in the course. And then through SLG, they are trained to provide ways of how to learn best. And so they spend time with you. They offer sessions once or twice a week that you can attend. And it really just takes the material that is happening in class, and they help to give you ways to integrate it and to learn that material better to make you more successful in the actual program and the course. We've had lots of success with SLG. So if you are in those courses that are supported by an SLG leader, I encourage you to try to attend the sessions if you can. They're not mandatory, but they really are a great resource to help support you in the class. If it is a SLG supported class, it will also indicate that in the timetable. So you will know if that course is being supported by SLG ahead of time. And then once you're in the course, the SLG will introduce themselves and kind of take it from there.
Awesome, thanks, Amber. We also have the Academic Success Center, and this is something that I like to point students to. They offer different services and resources to students to help with your success in your academics, no matter what the subject area is. They have things like free peer tutoring, which is something that I like to point out because there are those courses that will be, you know, a little bit tougher for some students in the program, and statistics sometimes has a bad reputation for being one of those courses that can be challenging. So for example, if you know that's something that you are going to struggle with, I like to say to students, don't wait until after your midterms come back. A lot of students like to do that just to see where their grade is at, but oftentimes that can be too late to try to turn things around. So if you know already from the get-go that, you know, maybe you struggle with a little bit of that math and statistics, then maybe we would want to try to get connected with the Academic Success Center right from the beginning. Another common one is if you're feeling like your essay writing isn't as strong as it should be coming into university, and we're taking that English 105 or the Communications 125, and you really want to get a good solid foundation in your writing skills, because it will be required for every single course you do in university. You will have to be doing some essay writing. We can connect you with the Academic Success Center to get that support from the beginning as well. And at any point, if you maybe a course you signed up for you didn't realize would be challenging for you, and then it is, make an advising appointment. We can talk about your options on what you can do to, you know, still get out on the other end successfully. And also we will talk a little bit later about dates and deadlines and when to drop a course by and all of that stuff. And we have our counseling department and our financial aid and awards, our Center for Accessibility. These are all student services available to students here at UFE. Counseling, they do everything from personal counseling, career counseling, and study skills counseling. So depending on what you're needing and what kind of support you're needing, and usually there's an overlap. Maybe some of your study skills has some personal stuff that you have to deal with. You know, you can make an appointment with our counselors and they'll help you through that. We have financial aid and awards. So if you need help with student loans, if you want to talk about scholarships and see what options you have, they're an excellent resource to sit down and make an appointment with. If you're needing some extra assistance for accessibility purposes, you would really want to get connected with our CAS and make an appointment with them, and, you know, potentially get some additional support if you're needing it through your academics. We also have a brand new career mapping tool, which isn't available to students yet, but it should be this fall. So I'm just kind of saying it now because I'll probably be showing a bunch of you in advising appointments in the next little bit. And this kind of shows you what can you do with a kinesiology degree and what are your options with a kinesiology degree. And it really opens up that world of kinesiology specifically, but also what other transferable skills are you gaining from doing this degree that can be applied in other areas. And I'm a perfect example. I've got a BA in kinesiology from the University of Lethbridge, and I thought I was going to go into education, and, you know, started taking some practicum courses and realizing that's really not what I was hoping for or what I was feeling was a good fit for me. And then I started working with athletes and student athletes at the University of Lethbridge, and I was kind of feeling like, okay, this is my vibe. These are the students that I want to work with. And eventually I did my master's program at SFU in post-secondary and student affairs. And for the last 11 years, as part of my advising, I've also worked with the student athletes who are newer recruits on campus here at UFE to help map out their courses and their career planning and all that stuff towards their goals. So that career mapping tool is just a way to kind of start that conversation on what are you going to do with your kinesiology degree afterwards. And that's a conversation you and I would have over the next few years while you're completing your degree. Okay, textbooks. So this is usually a common question for first-year students. Where do I find my textbooks? So at the top here, the link, I should have circled it. Sorry, guys. ufe.ca/bookstore/textbooks, and it brings you to this page here where you can shop online. So what it'll allow you to do or ask you to do is what semester. So at the time that I created this presentation, the summer semester was just available. So you would click on the summer session or the fall 2021 session. And then it's going to give you drop-down box, again, in alphabetical order of all the different subject areas. And then you can click on which classes that you're registered into and which classes you're looking for textbooks. So I gave an example. I clicked on KIN 161 for online. There was no textbook required for this course for that session. So, but other courses would have the textbook listed here. And then that gives you an idea of where you get your books or what books you would need. So as promised, I talked a little bit earlier about dates and deadlines. So for fall 2021, your semester dates that would be important to note, things like when certain holidays are, like Labor Day long weekend, Thanksgiving, Remembrance Day, you know, when classes end and when spring break or Christmas break, that kind of stuff. But so those are important dates, but we also want to highlight your registration dates and times. So like I said, it'll be sometime after June 14th that you will be issued a time to register. You want to try to pay your tuition deposit. It's a $200 tuition deposit on your account. Online banking is preferred, so they have June 9th there because it can take up to 3 business days for that to get processed. So if you don't want your registration to be delayed, I suggest paying that ahead of time. How the registration order works is first-year students actually get to register first here at UFV, because if you can't get into those first-year courses, you're hooped. You might not be able to go on into second, third, and fourth-year classes then if you don't get the foundation courses, because they're usually a prerequisite to other classes. So first-year students go first, then fourth-year students, and then second and third-year students will pick the remainder, because they have a little bit more flexibility of being able to pick a first-year course, second, third, fourth-year course, depending on what they've taken. So just note some of these. Your fee payment deadline is another important one, which is September 28th. Last day to actually register for a course is the September 19th. And last day to audit a course that's just sitting in on the course, you would not receive a grade for it, would be October 10th.
Kristen, can you go back one slide just for 1 sec?
Yeah.
So one thing I just would like to point out here is the examination period. So if we are face-to-face, or if you're taking face-to-face classes and even some online classes, it's hard knowing exactly what September is going to look like, but usually when we are face-to-face and online and the timetable's running normally outside of the pandemic, that period of time you need to be available for, period. So no travel, no weddings, no, vacations, anything like that. That timetable or that time period is indicated to you at the beginning of the term, and instructors expect you to be available throughout that whole entire time period until the exams are actually scheduled. And exams usually are scheduled kind of mid-semester. So in September, usually by end of October, beginning in November, you'll know when your final exams are. And in January, kind of come end of February, beginning of March, you'll know when your final exams are as well. So just make sure you're mindful of paying attention to those dates, because they're outlined for a reason.
Thanks, Amber. That's a great point. Okay, so we talked about this slide, so we're going to jump now. Now, these are your withdrawal dates, and I alluded to this a little bit earlier. And something that you should note is August 16th is your last day to drop a course and get 100% refund. And then it slowly increases an increment on how much you would owe for the course after that date. So from August 17th to the 12th, it would be 5% of the tuition will be withheld. September 13th to 28th, 10% of the tuition is withheld from a drop course. September 28th, last day to withdraw for a course and get a fee reduction or a refund. And then September 29th to October 10th, no refunds for withdrawals, but you will get a W that appears on your transcript after that time. So a W doesn't affect your GPA negatively, but it also is a permanent notation that will be on your academic record. So depending if you're applying to grad school, and if they more so in your upper level courses, you would want to find out how your grad school would perceive the W on your transcript, but it does not negatively affect your GPA. And then November 5th being the final day to withdraw from a course with a W. So with that, with all that stuff we just talked about with the program, this is a video for UFV's kinesiology program that we wanted to share with you guys. I hope that it doesn't lag too much, please let us know if lips are moving, but you can't see or hear words. So I'll play this and then we'll just see how it goes.
There's no sound on it, I don't think.
Okay.
We can post the link, I guess, if people want to.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Even if you go to YouTube and you look up UFV Bachelor of Kinesiology, that video will show up for you to be able to watch. It's really great because it shows some of our students that have gone through the program and the directions that they've gone and what they've valued out of the degree itself. And so it kind of gets you a bit excited to be in the KIN program. And obviously we wish that we were face to face to be able to really welcome you guys. So we just want you to just be aware of, it's a really great program. It's an exciting program. Our students love the program. We love the program. So that it's like a 2.5 minute video that would show you a bit of that from students' perspective.
Perfect. Thanks, Amber. Okay, so with that, we just like to wrap up and thank you guys for attending today's session and open up the floor to questions. So I can't see everybody right now, so I am actually going to stop sharing my screen so that I can see everyone. And then kind of check the chat here. If you have a question, throw it in the chat and we'll read it out to everybody and get those questions answered for you. Otherwise, you can turn on your mic as well and ask. Just remember, it's being recorded.
Good opportunity to ask questions.
Questions?
I was gonna, maybe I'll quickly just point a couple things I was gonna say for students too that we didn't get a chance to expand on in the slides. When you're in the timetable, and we really do, Kristen and I both encourage you to register for that session because it can be overwhelming and you want to go in and be ready to register and understand sort of what you're doing with the timetable and have kind of a plan A and a plan B of courses that you would like to take, because stuff might not be available. And so you need kind of a backup plan. So that was one thing I was going to note is, you know, have what you would love to take for courses and then have kind of a backup plan as well in case some of those courses are full or in case you have to go on the wait list. Another thing I was going to note too is just to be aware that there are a number of courses in the KIN program that have a lab component. And so you don't want to take, you know, necessarily 4 courses that have labs with them as well, because there is work in the lecture and the lab section. And so you don't want to overwhelm yourself, you know, in your registration with your course loads and stuff like that. So just take that into consideration as well, that those 4 credit classes that have labs will have a 3-hour chunk of time that's dedicated to the lecture every week. And then they'll have a 3-hour chunk of time that is dedicated to the lab every week. And in the timetable and in that registration section or that session, I'm sure they'll go over that with you, but you register for the lecture and then there's a separate CRN or course registration number for the lab. And so you just want to be prepared and have that ready in advance when it comes your time to actually register. We just really encourage you guys, again, we know it's overwhelming, it's new. Even today is probably lots of information, but we're here to help support and to answer those questions that you have throughout the, you know, your time at UFE. And just remember to kind of be proactive and take initiative. Don't be scared to ask questions. There's lots of useful information on the UFE webpage. Take advantage of being able to meet with Kristen, you know, once a year to make sure that you're on track, and don't hesitate to ask the faculty and, you know, our department itself. Everybody is really there to try to make the program enjoyable, but to also give you some great academic success in the program as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Amber. I've seen a couple questions come up in the chat. Is part-time studies an option? Yes, part-time studies is an option. So you can take 1 course to 5 courses. This is where you're going to need to have a little bit more information with you, like if you need some financial aid, for example, and if you're required to be a full-time student for any sort of scholarships or for any funding that you're receiving. That usually means 9 university level credits that you'll need to do per semester. So no upgrading courses can fall within those 9 university credits. It'll have to be university level courses. That can actually be 2 classes though, like Amber was saying. If you're doing exercise science, Bio 111 is a required course. That's 5 credits. And if you're taking a 4 credit lab course with that, and like another kin 4 credit course, lab course, there's your 9 credits right there. So depending, it could be 2 courses. In most situations, it would probably be 3 classes. But if there is no funding issues or stipulations that have you held to non-university credits, or if you're an athlete and you need to maintain eligibility requirements, then looking at taking 1 course a semester is absolutely fine. Taking 2 courses a semester is fine until you work up the confidence to start building up your coursework as you know how university and as you learn how university functions and works. We can add more as you know you can take it on, which is a much better approach than taking on way too much and then GPA is affected, and now we have to figure out how to bring up that GPA in the future. These are also your first year courses are also your foundation. So if we really struggle in those foundation courses, it's going to be really hard to build on in your upcoming. For example, if you really struggle with the 170, the 270 is going to be hard. And then the 272 will be hard as well. And so you build on these courses as you're going through your program. So if we can get a solid foundation by spreading them out a little bit, I only see that actually as a good thing. So hopefully that answers your question. Is physics a major science studied in the kin degree? That's a good question. Physics could be if you wanted to add it as a minor. It is not a required course area within the program. That being said, for somebody who wants to go on to physiotherapy, a solid understanding of physics is going to actually be a requirement when you're applying to UBC, for example. There is a physics requirement there, which can typically be physics from high school, actually, or even a university level course can satisfy that. Physics is interesting. I took chemistry and biology going throughout high school because that, my counselor said, take your 2 sciences, and biology was for sure one that I was going to take. And then, so I took chemistry in conjunction with it. But had I known what I know now, I think if somebody had suggested to me to take physics, I think it would have given me a really solid foundation in kinesiology, especially when you're talking about biodynamics and human movement, because you're talking about velocity, trajectories, lever sports, which all comes down to basic physics. So hopefully that answers your question. I don't know, Amber, did you want to jump in on anything there?
No, I think that answers it well. I mean, students choose lots of different options for a minor. And so like Kristen was saying, if physics is of interest to you, if it is going to help to support the direction that you're going, then you could look into doing a physics minor or just taking the requirements perhaps for like a PT or OT postgraduate. It does help. It definitely helps with biomechanics.
Definitely. Yeah.
I can try and address these ones if you want.
Sure. Yeah, perfect.
So is there any specific courses besides the ones in the exercise route that we would recommend for someone who's planning on looking at the BCRPA or a personal training exam? So probably mostly things that are going to be core and within the exercise science stream are going to help you to challenge that exam. We actually, Brian Justin is one of our faculty members, and Brian offers the CSEP CPT partway through your degree as well. So courses like, I don't know off the top of my head, but 163, 103, I think maybe 160. So basically those are like concepts of physical fitness is 103. 163 is our exercise physiology introductory course. 160 is our contemporary health issues course. And I think there might be a couple others, but Brian offers the CPT certification to students that meet those requirements as well. And then also further into, like when you get into upper level, there's courses such as like 462 and 463, which look at kind of exercise prescription, and understanding exercise prescription is sort of 462, and then 463 is a course that looks at more therapeutic exercise prescription. So working with individuals with chronic disease and helping them to manage their conditions through exercise. Those types of courses are going to help prepare you for further kind of BCRPA or personal training, or to do postgraduate, what we call the CSEP Certified Exercise Physiology exam, which then gives you sort of the liability and the scope of practice to work with both asymptomatic or kind of healthy populations as well as symptomatic populations. So to answer your question kind of shortly, if you kind of stick with the core and the exercise science route, you should probably be covering all of those that are necessary for the personal training. There is a new course that Brian is going to be offering maybe I think it's in the fall, and then hopefully it'll run once a year. And that's going to be very specific to training principles. And so that would be one that I would obviously encourage, if you could get into probably next year, if it's offered, that would probably help for the BCRPA stuff. Do we make you do lots of exercises? So yes and no. We're not making you be active in every single class, but we certainly do encourage it in certain classes. So in the pedagogy side of things with physical literacy, you are learning how to break a skill down and to lesson plan and to learn and incorporate games and play into understanding physical movement and physical literacy. So yes, you'll probably have some classes where you're going to be incorporating those games and participating in those games and incorporating the exercises. And then in some of our other classes, yes, we do, in the lab components, we do try to get you to maybe volunteer to do the test or be a subject in the test, and then also learn how to do the test. So, kind of come third year, fourth year, you might have the opportunity to run a VO2 max test, but to also participate in a VO2 max test. And from seeing students go over the years, I encourage you all to participate, because if you run a VO2 max test, then you're going to know how your subject or your athlete or your client is going to feel during the VO2 max test, which is going to give you a better opportunity to communicate and support as they're working through. So yes and no for the activities. Not all classes are active, but lots do contain some active components. What's the difference between an exercise physiologist and practicing kinesiologist? So a practicing kinesiologist, right now, the typical route is after graduation, you register with BCAK, which is sort of our governing body for British Columbia with kinesiologists. So it's the British Columbia Association of Kinesiologists. This is where you register, you become a registered or a practicing kinesiologist, and then you start working in the field, whether you're working in a fitness facility or in a gym as a kinesiologist, whether you're working in a clinic with other allied health professionals like physiotherapists or occupational therapists or chiropractors, or whether you are doing your own, you're kind of managing your own practice as far as kinesiology. This basically, the BCAK gives that's sort of your insurance and your governing body to make sure that you have proper liability within your scope of practice. You are going to probably work with people who have been in motor vehicle accidents. You're dealing with people who maybe are with ICBC and MVAs, or like I said, motor vehicle accidents, return to work type of programs, or people who have had some sort of injury, work or, just life related injuries, and you're working on rehabilitating the injury and then possibly rehabilitating them back into work or into sport. Practicing kinesiologists can also work with athletes and work with training and competition and trying to better prepare for competitions. So that's kind of the practicing kinesiologist. I would say the scope is more apparently healthy individuals. So you might work with some people that have certain conditions or chronic injuries, but an exercise physiologist is one that works specifically with individuals with chronic disease and with chronic disease management. So as an exercise physiologist, for example, you might work with somebody in cardiac rehab. So they've had a heart attack or they've had open heart surgery, and now they're coming to you to build a program to help them rehabilitate post cardiovascular event. So lots of people with any cardiovascular related conditions, so like high blood pressure, metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes, any other cardiovascular related like peripheral vascular disease, for example. You might work with somebody with COPD, so chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder. You might work with somebody who has chronic lower back pain, fibromyalgia. It's very clinical. So again, it's somebody who has a condition. It's a chronic condition, which means it's not going away. They are going to live with that condition for the rest of their life. And as an exercise physiologist, you are working with them to try to manage the condition and to improve the quality of life overall. So definitely lots of overlap, but different scopes of practice. So practicing kin is through BCAK, and an exercise physiologist is usually through two different governing branches. One is CSEP, which is the Canadian Society for Exercise Physiology, and the other is ACSM, which is the American College for Sports Medicine. And you'll learn more about those things as you get into your courses and in through the program as well. What is the VO2 max test you mentioned? So a VO2 max test is one of the many tests that we can run to basically look at your efficiency. So we look at your cardiovascular and your respiratory activity. We put you on a treadmill and you basically you work towards all out exercise to the point where you are done. Like you can't not necessarily can't finish, but you are running a max test. So you're pushing yourself to sort of the max limit to test the exercise capacity and for us to understand, what is your heart doing? What are your gases doing with your gas consumption and utilization, and looking at how those systems work together. A VO2 max test or a sub VO2 max test, which again, you'll learn all about the different types of metabolic tests that we can do. Both of those can be used for us to then tailor exercise prescription for a client. So if they've done a sub-max test, if they've done a VO2 max test, either of those, we can then say, okay, we need to work at 40% of their VO2 max, and that's how we can prescribe exercise. So it's a useful tool for us to understand how to best provide the best exercise prescription for that individual. Hopefully that answered your question.
That's awesome. Thanks for all that information, Amber, and for all those questions. Those were great questions, and I'm sure questions that other people had as well. And we'd like to thank you for joining this presentation today and connect with us. So that's what I just want to leave you with. We want to see you. We want to help you and be a part of your academic journey here at UFE. And we really look forward to meeting you, hopefully in person in the future, and connecting with you as you go through your 4-year, 5, 6-year program at UFE. But as for now, we're going to stop recording